Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is an NPC bodybuilder. Today's guest is Chris Fine. Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Yo, what's up, Q?
Not a whole lot, my man. I'm super excited to chop it up with you, dude. We're gonna get into nationals talk, bodybuilding talk. We're gonna talk about your life, but first I want to ask you, who are a few of your favorite bodybuilders of all time?
Yo, first and foremost, man, appreciate you having me on. So my two favorite bodybuilders, man, going back when I first got into it would be Dorian Yates. Just, overall work ethic and his no bullshit attitude. And then currently, RIP, Dallas McCarver. I think his work ethic was second to none as well. You know, he was go in there, bang the weight. Some of the guys was like, man, why does he lift heavy? And that's kind of what I get too. So I respect both of those guys, you know.
Excellent, dude. So tell me, Chris, at what age did you start lifting weights, and why did you start lifting weights at that age?
So first, man, it was probably like 15. My brother got into working out when he was in high school, and my parents bought us this little rinky-dink, weightlifting bench and put it in the basement. And he was taking like I said, a high school weightlifting class. And I was like, man, my brother, he put on some size, man. I want to look good in the tank top too. So I would kind of go into the basement, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I'll be working out with him a little bit. And then I actually got suspended when I was really young. A little bit before that, my mom was going to this like wellness health club. And she was like, well, you got OSS, so you're not going to just sit at the house. So you're going to come with me. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, man. So I was doing every machine, running on a treadmill. But it was that, those endorphins were rushing, even at that age of, going into the weight room or to go work out. And it just felt right. I like that, So I think that's what sparked the interest of working out. And then when you got older, into like 15, 16 years old, you hit puberty, you start to see your body change a little bit. And that was like kind of what hooked me. It got me hooked into like, man, if I could put my mind into this and see my body change, I want to go to the gym, man, So I just fell in love with training and seeing what it could do for my body.
Excellent, man. So I like to use that question, Chris, just to kind of transition into my guest backstory. So tell myself and the listeners, where did you grow up? Talk about your family dynamics a little bit. Did you have any siblings? Talk about any sports or anything that you did in terms of extracurricular activities. Talk about school a little bit. Just paint that picture up to about high school, and then we'll transition from there, okay?
Yeah, man. So when I was 10 years old, up until 10 years old, we lived in New York, upstate New York. And then we moved down to North Carolina. And then, like, obviously, you move into a new school, you have no friends. And, at that age, man, you're kind of raised, around the people that you're around. So I didn't really fit in. I was kind of the outcast. Like, oh, he's from New York. He carries himself different. Like how I dressed was Jordan sweatpants and like a sports team jersey. And these kids were, making fun of me because I didn't have, North Carolina's the South. So they would have like the cowboy boots and flannels and stuff like that. And at a young age, man, like right then and there, I was like, I don't fit in with these kids, But then, I was really big into baseball, and I got a travel baseball team, and that was a great group of guys. And I played baseball from a very young age up until high school. But man, it's pretty cool. When I was 12 years old, we made it to the Little League World Series at 12 years old. So that was a cool memory. And yeah, man, I mean, it was just like from a young age, it was like I knew I was a little bit different, just like my characteristics, the way I talked. And, I got kind of bullied for that, And so that kind of made me a little bit of an outcast. But like I said, again, not to be a repeat, but we met up with a good group of guys on that baseball team, man. And that's kind of like where all my focus went, was just trying to be as good at baseball as I could. That was kind of through middle school. Through high school, again, I was into the baseball, man. I was pretty good, but I fell in love with more of the weight training. So like every time we get, we got to go run, or we got to go to the weight room, and everybody else would complain. I like that part of it, man. So like getting into like 17, 18 years old, I would rather go train then go to practice, you know. And but like I said, I was pretty good. And that's kind of where it was. That's where I fell in love with the weight room. And honestly, man, like the team, the athletics, the sports teams, it's tough, man. Like when not to say like I was this person, but when you have 3 or 4 or 5 guys that carry the team, or like, you know, you rely on this team, and then you got 3 or 4 other guys that you're kind of like just carrying. I like the individuality of the weight training. Like if I'm gonna go to the gym and put my effort in, I'm gonna get the results out of that. So that's why I fell in love with training, man.
Perfect.
You know,
Do you have any siblings, Chris, or are you only child?
no, I mean, I got an older brother. He actually went through medical school. He's an anesthesiologist. He followed in my dad's footsteps. You know, my parents, they're unbelievable support team. But I was kind of the black sheep, man. So like my dad supported me. I went to college. I graduated from App State. I actually graduated exercise science, strength and conditioning with summa cum laude. So I'm not just this earring, bald head muscle dude. You know, I actually have a little bit of education as well, but that wasn't my heart, man. And my dad, he was always so supportive of like, hey, man, you got to get an education. So if you want to pursue bodybuilding, you'll have the funds to do so. My stuff, like I'm very stubborn, man. So I was like, nah, I don't need to go to fucking school. Like I could support myself if I just work hard. Had no idea what that meant at the time, but not to ramble, man. My parents are awesome, man. They supported us. You know, they gave us everything that we needed, not necessarily everything that we wanted, but they were our backbone, man. They raised us well. Yeah.
Excellent. So tell me, Chris, before we kind of get into college talk and start heading in that direction, outside of your parents, was there a coach? Was there a teacher? Was there some sort of an adult figure in those younger years that really had a positive influence or impact in your life, or was it mostly your parents?
Man, it was now, to be honest with you, not really, man. It was more of my parents, like, and it all comes into full circle, you know. So when you're young, you don't really listen to your parents, but you pick up on like their natural habits. So like my dad, man, he's a doctor. If he gets called into work, he has to go. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. So my work ethic was, if you're gonna do something, you have to do it. There's no quit. You know, other people, man, not to say that it's a bad thing, but if their parents was like, oh, they're tired, or they stayed up on the weekend, they could call in Monday and be sick. And I think at a young age, man, we don't understand, but we pick up on that. My mom as well, man, she raised us, you know, while he was working, but then she went back to work because she was like, you know, you guys are grown now. You can drive, you can take care of yourself. I'm gonna go back to work. So it never really hit me until now, like I'm 30 years old. I'll look back and like that was definitely instilled into me and my brother at a very young age of, if you're gonna do something, you don't fucking quit, man. Like, and there's no back out. There's no excuse that you can't, oh, if you're tired, or oh, you got a little cold. Like, you know, today's society, everybody's looking for that crutch or mental health. I can't go because I've got anxiety. Man, I dealt with anxiety my whole fucking life, but you suck that shit up and you get it done. You know, and I learned that from them, man. They instilled that with me just by the way they carry themselves.
I love that, man. I love that. So let's talk about let's start talking about college. Then you briefly touched on it, but you studied exercise science. You got an education, maybe really from the strong suggestion of your dad, your parents, right? But I'm sure there was something that you did take away from those college years, from that college experience. What was the takeaway? What did you learn? And overall, did you enjoy college or not really?
Yeah, man, I hated college, bro. So my freshman year, I went to NC State University. And like I said, man, even from a child, I'm introverted, man. I did not fit in. You know, I was the only one that went to NC, like I was in the pre-med program because I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I was like, oh, my dad's a doctor, so I'm going to take that route. I wanted to pursue bodybuilding, man. So like right now I'm dressed in a hoodie. That's what I wore to class. It's nothing against those kids, man. I just didn't fit in. Like they would have the khakis, the Sperry shoes, and, you know, the button ups. And I was the one in sweatpants and the Jordans and stuff. And like, I'm a fan of bodybuilding, man. So I watched the podcast. That's before like the YouTube. That's like when MD, RX Muscle. And I would sit there with like my container at NC State and people would be walking by looking at my fucking meal and stuff. And I'd put my fucking laptop up and be eating. So right then and there, I was like, man, I hate this, man. I don't want to be in college, man. If this is what it's going to be like, because, you know, in college, man, 18, 19, these kids are just out of the parents' house. They want to start drinking and partying. I had no interest. At 18, man, being naive, I wanted to be fucking Mr. Olympia. I know genetics and shit plays a role with that, but I was doing everything, man, waking up early, hitting my meals, you know. And this goes back to my dad, man. He was like, look, I'm gonna give you $100 a week. You're not gonna be able to eat like a bodybuilder. You know, you're gonna have to, you know, get the grades, pass school. But I said, I'm gonna show you, man. Like, I could budget $100 and eat like a bodybuilder. So I did. So after that year at NC State, I was like, man, fuck, I don't want to go back, man. You know, like, I don't care. I'll go work or whatever. And at that time, man, my dad was supporting me. So he's like, man, if you drop out, he's like, you on your own. So I was like, nah, right now, be sensible. I'm just going to suck it up and go to school. I had no idea that you could study exercise science. I didn't know you could study about how body in the work, like in the gym or whatnot. I was like, damn, I need to get in this program. So there's a school that's closer to my parents from my hometown. It's called Appalachian State University. And I was like, man, so I could literally go to school to learn how the body works in exercise. Sign me up. Again, man, I didn't really want to do that because I don't really care about studying and shit like that. I just wanted to be a bodybuilder, man. But I said, all right, if I could go up there and actually study something I enjoy, which molecular and physiology and shit like that, it's enjoyable now. But at that point, I was so immature. I just wanted to bodybuild, man. So again, man, so I transferred. I went to Appalachian State, and I saw, okay, these kids are more like me. They just kind of chill back and they party hard up there. But I was introverted, man. I would sit, like, literally, man, in my apartment, making sure I had my food. Same thing, same routine. Like, I'm very, very particular with how I want to live my life or my daily routine. And I don't like to be distracted. So I didn't go out. I didn't party. I didn't have no girlfriends. I wasn't into the fucking, oh, let's see how many girls we can have sex with. I just wanted to eat my meals and train, man. And that was college. And it was, okay, I'm a sophomore, cool. I'm a junior, cool. I'm a senior, cool. I just want to be done with college, prove to my dad that I could do it. And it was, man, me and my dad's relationship, I'll bring it up a lot. It was real rocky, man, because I was going against the grain. But now it's a beautiful relationship, man. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, in college, I just wanted to be fucking done with it, bro. And that's kind of that's the college experience, man, was no partying. Just, hey, you're here to make the grades. And I think that's kind of what was instilled with him of, hey, I'll still help you out in school. I'll pay for your way of living, give you some money to eat, as long as you make the grades. And that was the way I thought at the time. Looking back now, I'm very grateful that he pushed me to get that education, man. Yeah. Excellent.
So I want to ask you, you've brought this up a couple of times just as you're sharing your story with us, Chris, but you've said that you're introverted. Talk to me about that a little bit. And then you said you've struggled with anxiety since you were very young. So I'm assuming that kind of ties into each other or overlays or overlap. So talk about being introverted, talk about the anxiety and what does that look like on the day-to-day for you, especially when you were younger?
So I didn't know what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're younger, my parents weren't like, okay, so let's rewind. When I was living in New York before we moved at 10, it was all cool because that's all I knew. When we moved, man, and I knew I didn't fit in. Like, I knew these kids had their little group or whatnot, and they're like, oh, look at this guy. Like, he thinks he's cool with his sweatpants. I would literally throw up before school, like at 10. And that would go on up until high school, like about my freshman, sophomore year. My parents aren't the one to be like, oh, we need to go get him some medicine or go see a doctor, because it was literally, hey, man, you're going to go to school. Like, I have images recall in my head of we would be like, this is when my parents would drop me off at school. And I'll be like, my mom, pull over, pull over, pull over. I'm about to throw up. And she literally like slammed on her brakes. I open the door and throw up. I didn't know that was anxiety. You know what I'm saying? And so at that point, I had to get through it through school, man. Like just, it's going to sound repetitive, but I didn't want to be fucked with, man. I didn't want to be bothered. You know what I'm saying? I just want to eat my food and train. And everybody has that safe spot. Ever since I went to the gym, when I got suspended, when I was like in 7th grade and my mom was like, let's go, I just felt comfortable, man. Like, I remember whenever I first got my license, you know, in high school, they do the internships. And I was like, man, if I could get an internship at a gym, that would be sick, man. I could work out. And I had this thing. So I'm 16 years old. And this guy was like, yeah, man. He's like, I'll sign off on your papers and you can come work out. And it was cool. The first day I got there, this motherfucker handed me a brush and said, go clean the toilets. And I said, well, if that's what it means, if this is what I got to do every day, where I could just not go to school and train, I'd do it, man. So I used to clean toilets every single day in high school at my senior year. But then I was like, hey, I get to train while these other people were still in school. And that was the motto that I kind of built myself of, like, I didn't know that I could make money personal training. Like, personal training came up, what, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago? You know, and so I was like, man, it would be sick to own a gym one day, which I did and sold. But I was like, man, if I could work out while other people have to go to work, that's what I want to do. And for whatever reason, man, I didn't take no for an answer. And that's where me and my dad didn't see eye to eye. He was like, man, you can't go work out and make money. Like, you need to go, you know, have a job to support that. And I was like, if there's passion and true love for what you do, I believe you can make money doing anything you want to do, man. So going back into the introverted in school, you know how it is, man. You around a bunch of friends, you know, high school, you start drinking and stuff. College, man, comes into the recreational, like, you know, smoking weed and hey, man, let's do some pills and shit. You know, back then, man, I didn't drink alcohol probably maybe twice in like 15 years, bro. Marijuana, and that's a different story. You know, I see that as help to reduce the anxiety. But back in college, man, I didn't do none of that. So like the friends that were, hey man, let's go party and drink and get fucked up before the football games. I was like, man, nah, I'd rather, you know, take a nap and go train. And that's when the gyms were empty. So all the kids at the football game, I got the whole gym to myself. Yeah, I don't need a drink. You know what I'm saying? But then you got the other crowd, you know, the stoners and the people sitting on the couch. Yo, bro, just come over, man, and smoke this. But back then I was like, man, fuck that. That's going to make me lazy, man. Like, nah, man, I just stay to myself, bro. I just want to stay in my fucking room, eat my food, and go train. And so that's when I was like, I don't want to be bothered with the public, man. And then when you get a little bit deeper into your journey, when you start putting on some muscle and, you know, you 240, 250, people start judging you. Yeah. Oh man, this dude thinks he's big. I never did this for no woman, no ego boost from another guy. I just, like I told you, man, when I was in that gym, nothing else mattered, man, because I was so focused on, hey, I need to make sure that I'm training as hard as I fucking can, because one day I want to be a pro. The training and the school and how can I make the money to train while I'm training, that's all secondary thought. At that point, when I was, my dad's helping me out, I had no idea how to budget money. I had no idea of like, what paying rent and light bills are. And so I remember when I got my first light bill that I had to pay, I was like, oh shit, like that's some money. But back then when I was in college, nothing else mattered but those weights, man. And my dream of like, man, I really want to just be a pro. And nowadays being a pro isn't as prestigious as it was back then. But I was like, that's all I want to do, man, is just bodybuild. But before that, I was like, I'm a true fan of bodybuilding, man. I like keep up with all the pros and the guys coming up. Like, I just love the sport, man.
Beautiful. Yeah. So tell me, Chris, when you were actually, I mean, you started lifting weights, you know, when you were a teen, but when you were actually first exposed to bodybuilding, I'm assuming you're 30, I'm 34. At that point, right, it was through the magazines, right? Muscular development and all that type of stuff. But when you were first exposed to bodybuilding, what pulled you in? What attracted you to that lifestyle, to those athletes, to everything that is bodybuilding, to where it literally consumed you, and as a late teen, you wanted to be a pro? What was it?
I remember like it was yesterday. We was at that health club with my parents, or my mom actually, and my brother, like I said, he had that weight training, so he would go with my mom and stuff. So I was a younger brother. And there was you know that muscular development, Ronnie Coleman's on there. He's got the red tank top. So I remember, man, vividly, my brother was like, check this out. And I was like, man, that's fake, bro. Like, nobody looks like that. I was probably like 13 at the time. But I was like, man, that's fucking, okay, that's fake, whatever, cool. So I think that's what really sparked, you know, just seeing that. And it was in passing, man. He just like showed the magazine. I was like, man, that's nobody can look like that's fake. And then I was like 16, 17. We started training. I fell in love with the training. And then I went to whenever I had an internship, there were some guys there that bodybuilding. There's actually this girl that competed. Like, I'm from a small town, man. There's no bodybuilders. But this girl competed, and this is when I was 17. And she was like, you're a pretty big teenager, Chris. You should do a show. And I ain't doing that, bro. What is bodybuilding? Like, what is that? She's like, you know, like when you get on stage and you flex. I'm like, I don't want to flex for nobody. I just want to fucking train, man. Like, I want to get lost in the workout and just bang weights. Like, so in retrospect, if somebody would have showed me powerlifting, I probably would have got into that, man. Cause it's like, you put up or shut up, you know? Like, I think there's two different people. Some people train because they love the stage. And then some people do the stage because it makes them train harder. So I fell in love with that training. It makes me train harder. If I'm going to get on stage. But going back, man, she was like, you should do the teenage class. And I was like, I'm not wearing no Speedo on stage, man. And then this other guy in there, he was like, man, you really should give it a shot. And I was like, man, I'll do anything once within reason. Like, I'm introverted, but I'm curious as well, you know? So she come back, she won the show or whatever. She's like, man, you should do it next time. You should sign up for the teenage class. And I was like, I'll do it. So I was reading all the magazines, you know, oh, you got to eat cans of tuna and broccoli. And I dieted, man, in high school. And I played baseball at the time. So all my friends are like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, we would have a game and it would be like the 6th inning. But I was like, dude, at 6 o'clock, I got to have this chicken. So I'm sitting there like, damn, there's 2 outs, man. I got to get this down before we go back on the field. And I'd have it in my baseball bag, you know? And so I did this. I dieted on like 3 cans of tuna, 2 protein shakes for like 6 months, bro. I was like anorexic skinny. And my parents are like, yo, what are you doing? Like, are you sick? You need to eat. So I was like, no, I'm gonna do this bodybuilding show. And like I said, man, my parents are they're very fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, at that age, they raised us very fair. So at that point, we had to do the SATs for testing, for the high school testing. And I remember I had this show, man, for I'm talking like 6 months, did not eat off the diet. I didn't know what a cheat meal was. I was like, you got to eat this tuna, these protein shakes, and like broccoli. That was my diet. And she was like, no. My mom said, she's like, you can't do the show. You have to take the SAT. Like, you're going to take the SAT. And I'm like, damn. So the next show is like 2 months later. It was a Quincy Roberts show. And I was like, I don't care, man. I want to try to do this. Because like, I'm the type of person, if I'm committed, whether it's a relationship, whether it's work, whatever, I'm all in, man. I might not be the best at it, but I'm going to give you every fucking thing I got. So I did that show. I think I was 17 or 18 and I won. And man, like I said, I wasn't around people. They all laughed at me like, bro, Chris gonna get on stage in some Speedo and tan up and whatever. And I was like, I don't give a fuck what y'all think, man. So like, I did it and I won. And it was that sense of like, holy shit, bro, I won. Kind of just like the Nationals, man. Like, it was my first national show. I was like, man, there's some big dudes. I don't know if I'm able to stack up, and I got 4th. But going back to the show experience, man. So you're 18, bro. It's your first show. And this is everybody that gets into a bodybuilding show. You don't know what to expect. Of course, you're young. You think like you hear all these bodybuilders are assholes or whatnot. Bro, I walked backstage, did not know what the fuck I was doing. I had no tan. So someone was like, this is when you had the protein and you had to like stick it on. And they was like, dude, you need to put that on now so it soaks into your skin. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? But man, backstage, those people, the other bodybuilders, were the most helpful, nicest people, down to earth I've ever met. Because think about it, when you in the real world and you pull out Tupperware and you're just starting out, you're 160 pounds, and you're like, I'm gonna be a bodybuilder. People laugh at you, think you're fucking crazy. You know, like I said, man, I structured my whole life of, I just want to make money so I can do this. Like, man, you giving up a career or an opportunity to go whatever. I was like, I don't care. But like, what got me into bodybuilding, man, was the total experience of just like, man, these are my people. Like, these people didn't laugh at me at 160 pounds and pulling out Tupperware. These people didn't laugh at me like damn, this dude didn't have no tan on. They wanted to help me, man. And then winning that show, I think it was like, this is what I want to do, man. Yeah.
Excellent, dude. Excellent. So tell me, I want to pick up where we left off in terms of college, Chris. So you graduate from college, you're fully immersed in bodybuilding. In terms of a career and making money, what did things look like post-college for you?
So college, but I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do. So I was in the exercise science program, and I was a semester behind. It was because I couldn't get into a class, man, and I hate how they do that. Like, if you know how, like, when all the seats are, they like all the seats are taken up, you're gonna have to wait. And I'm like, wait, I'm not waiting and paying a whole nother semester of tuition. So okay. Backstory, man. I won that show when I was a teenager, and then I did that prep by myself. And the guy in the gym was like, man, you need to, this was when people just started becoming coaches. He's like, you need to get a guy that can teach you about nutrition. And that's when I linked up with Dave Palumbo. So that local show, I was 18. And then I did the Teen Nationals, and I got smoked, bro. Like, I got embarrassed in 2010 Teen Nationals. And I hired Dave. And then we went back at 2011 when I was 19, and I won. That was after the first year NC State. But okay, so end of college, I was like, man, fuck. So I met with the what is it? The head of the person that's over, like, the director of, like, exercise science, drawing a blank. But she was like, look, you can either wait and take this class that you need to graduate, or, because, man, I would meet with her. I'm like, man, I just got to take these classes to pass, man. I want to open my own gym or do something. So she kind of knew, like, I was just there to be there to get the grades and move on. And she's like, but I'll sign off if you can get an internship in a gym or whatnot. So I already worked with Dave, and I was like, man, how sick would it be if I could go, like, work with Dave and live in Long Island, New York, as opposed to upstate, and be around, like, Beth Francis Powerhouse Gym. And so my dad was like, look, man, he's like, I'll support you as long as you're, doing education. Because he wanted me to go to grad school and PhD with exercise science, as long as it's school. And I get it, man. Like, we had a falling out, and then like I said, our relationship is so good. But back then, man, that's what you had to do. You had to go get a fucking job and support your family. There was no internet making money off Instagram and coaching. So rightfully so, man. He just was looking out for me. I couldn't see it at the time. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, hey, man, call up Dave. He's like, we'll get you set up. You can move to New York and learn. So in my head at the time, being immature, oh, man, I could milk another year and live this bodybuilding lifestyle. So that's what I did, man. So I went up there. I interned with Dave with Species Nutrition. That's when he was doing the ARCs, muscle, and stuff. So after that, Dave called me into his office. He was like, man, what are you doing up here, man? You need to start making money. Like, if you're going to live in New York, you need to make money. And at that time, I was just riding off my parents. So I was like, shit, man, I don't know what I want to do. I don't never had a job. I just cleaned those toilets, got my free gym membership. My dad was helping me out. Looking back, I'm like, damn, wish I would have had a job and I could have learned some more. But my dad helped me out, man. Like, what would you do with your kid? I would help him out too. So I did the internship. I'm 22 at the time, and then I'm 24. So 2 years go by. My parents are like, look, man, you're done with the internship. You have to, okay. I worked in this gym, man, and I was personal trainer or whatnot. It was a fucked up part of my life. And so I get to 24 and I'm done with the internship, and my parents are kind of like, look, man, we've helped you up to this time. You 24 years old. We can't make you stay in school. You're going to have to do it on your own, but it's time that you're going to have to figure it out. Like, you're going to have to start paying your own way. Like, we got you to this point. I was like, all right, fuck, what am I going to do, man? So I remember sitting I was dating this Colombian girl, man. I thought I was a shit. My parents was giving me money to go out to eat with her. But then in retrospect, I'm like, damn, I only got $20 fucking, man. I can't even buy my chicken now because my parents was like, we're going to cut you off. Like, you got to grow up. I was like, damn, I'm sitting there. I was like, I guess I'm going to go to the military, man. So that was I signed all my medical, got it all signed off. I took the ASVAB. But what turned me off, man, I met with a recruiter. So like I said, like, I graduated summa cum laude. Like, I'm not an idiot, even though people look at my persona and they're like, the way I carry myself. And this recruiter, I was going to go as an officer. He was like, there's no way you'll pass the test. And I was like, this motherfucker, man, I don't even want to give you my time if you're already here doubting. Like, I'm signing up to serve, and you don't even give it, you're not even giving me the chance. So I took the ASVAB, like, passed it, whatever. And I was like, man, is this really what I want to do? Like, yeah, it was support. Man, I have nothing but respect for our servicemen and women. Like, anybody who knows me on a personal level, I think they need more, man. We need to give more to our troops. Like, I've got nothing but respect for them. But I was like, is that going to give me the best? Because remember, man, I'm like, I want to bodybuild. I was like, is that going to give me the, I'll do it to make the money to support, but damn, I don't know if I want to do this, bro. So my mom was like, look, you saved up some money, you know, you've got stocks and stuff. Like, my dad, like, made us invest our birthday money and shit. Like, my dad's a very intelligent person, man. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, she's like, you have some money and you could take out a loan. Why don't you, before you go, like, you've already passed the test and everything, why don't you try to open up the gym that you've always talked about, like your dream? She's like, you're not going to be able to do it in New York, for obvious reasons, too expensive. She's like, but you could come home. We could fix up a little, like, warehouse so you could open a gym up. And I was like, man, it's the first time that my parents is on board of, like, doing something with the gym. You know what I'm saying? Because let's be honest, man, personal training, like, in hands-on on a gym, you're not going to make that much, man. You got to find a second job or another hustle or whatever the case is. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, dude. If I invest all my money and open this gym up, if it fails, I can always go to the service. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I did, man. We just moved. I moved back. I took every bit of money I had. Like, I cashed out my stocks. I had savings, and I traveled. I hustled, man. I was like, I'm gonna go to Georgia and pick up this piece off Craigslist. I'm gonna go to I mean, we went all over the Southeast, man. Virginia, Georgia, Tennessee, and at that point, I think my dad was kind of like, man, he really gonna do this? So I was like, he's gonna watch this interview. But I would literally, when he would go to work, I'd be like, Mom, I'm taking your Jeep and getting a U-Haul, and I'm gonna drive to Georgia, Atlanta, and back, and I'm gonna get this piece of equipment. So, like, I'd have like 3 pieces stacked in my parents' basement, and my dad's like, oh, so you really gonna do this, huh? And I was like, Dad, I'm all in. And then he got on board with it, man. He helped me out. Like, I wouldn't have had that gym without him and my mom's support. You know what I'm saying? So what happened was, they wouldn't approve me on a loan because I had no income. I had no job. So what he had to do was get that, and I paid him back over time. So I paid him all back. So I got that gym, man. Like, and that was a fucking nightmare in itself, bro. So I got that gym going, and the rest is history. I mean, from there, personal life's a whole different story, but the gym, man, we had the gym, and I literally sold it the day I got back from that Nationals. So I had that on my plate and everything, and now I'm just kind of freelancing, man, seeing what's next.
So, excuse me, I want you to finish out, because I did read a post in terms of you selling the gym. I want you to finish that story, because from the post that I read on Instagram, you know, you were hustling, you were grinding, but I feel like you grew up a lot by having the responsibility of owning that gym, and you learned a lot about life. You learned a lot about yourself personally. So I want you to talk a little bit about that, because I own a gym. A lot of people within the bodybuilding world, fitness world, we have a vision or a dream to own a gym, which is great. But then there's actually the reality of not just owning a gym, but being a business owner, which that's a whole nother podcast. But talk about some of those experiences of owning the gym, what you learned about yourself, what you learned about life, and how that, yes, it was hard, but I think it probably really matured you and made you grow up fast, right, Chris? So talk about that.
Yeah, man, I mean, we could talk hours about this, you know, like the whole experience or whatnot. So, you know, from start, man, like, oh, it's all fresh, you know, like, you get this gym, oh, I'm gonna be training in it and whatnot. And like you said, there's that business aspect. So when I first opened the gym up, man, like I said, man, I put every bit of money I had into that. I didn't have the next rent to pay. Like, I was like, I want to have all the equipment that I've ever wanted. And I think I had like $220 or something, like, in the business account. I was like, man, if people don't come, I guess we're fucked. You know what I'm saying? So literally, I worked 17 hours a day. Like, when I started, literally, we would open up at 5 and we close at 10. I had no employees at all. And I remember we were doing that Monday through Friday was 8 to 10. And I would get home at about 11, because I would click. At that point, man, it's like, it's your baby. You know, I'm waking up like, oh man, I'm going to open the doors to my gym. Like I was just proud of myself, like that I actually did something that I wanted to do rather than like, okay, get through school, do this, make some money doing this. It was like the one thing that I was like, man, I'm proud of myself for once. And it was just long hours, man. And I remember this what was he? A radiologist came in, and you know, they make good money or whatnot. He's like, I'm gonna pay you up for a whole year. Cool. So he would kind of come in, he's like, look, Chris, I know you're very passionate about this, but don't burn yourself out. I said, man, how am I gonna burn myself out? You know, like I love doing this. So I know on the dot, man, about 8 months, I just got beat. You know, I was in this relationship, man, with this girl, and she didn't understand like how many hours I was putting in. And I was literally, I don't know, we calculated like 100 hours. It's like, no, there's no fucking way you work that much hours. I'm like, bro, I would literally get home at 11, go to sleep about 12. I'd wake up at 4 and I would go in. And I was good though, because you're off that high, man. You have to have this, you got to make this business work or the doors are going to close. Then it got to the point where I was like, I would get in at 4 o'clock in the morning, or I'd wake up at 4, get there at 5, and I'll put a sign up. And I'll be like, if you need me, Chris is in the office. And I'll be sleeping on his futon to like, I'll be just exhausted, man. And no one understood. You know, they're like, man, Chris, like, he always wants to go to his office or whatnot. This is about 8 months into owning the gym. So I said, dude, I'm just going to have to suck it up and like pay someone to open the gym up. Remember, man, I'm from a small town where bodybuilding is kind of like, why does he have the loud music and the walls are red and black? I don't know if I want to go in there, and the equipment doesn't match and the treadmills are kind of, they don't match. I was like, man, this is my dream gym. But so moving forward, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Hired somebody, and I was like, shit, man, they opened 3 gyms in my small hometown. And they're the 24-hour, that was when 24-hour gyms started booming. Oh man, like no offense, Chris, man, but we're gonna go here because I get off of work and I'd rather go train late. And I'm like, that's cool. Do your thing. I'm gonna close it. Like I told myself, I said, whatever happens, I'm closing the doors when I want to close the doors. I'll go get another job to support the gym. I was like, I don't want to lose this business, you know, based on somebody else. I was like, this is something that I fucking worked my ass off for. I put in hours, you know, dedicated my life. I didn't compete for 3 years just trying to get the gym going. And I was like, I'm closing doors on my turn. So fast forward, I got a good group of high school kids, man. And at that point, my personal life was a fucking wreck, dude. Like that's a whole nother conversation. I mean, dating stripper and dating this girl that had a kid, and like just, it was fucked up, man. You know what I mean? And that took a toll. And then it was like, I don't even want to go to the gym because then everybody's coming with their own personal problems. You know, you sitting behind the desk for 14, 15 hours, and then somebody else is coming to you. Man, me and my girlfriend just broke up. Man, I just lost my job. Man, can I pay you on Friday? Because, and I'm like, God, dude, it's just negative, 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 negative. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. Then, you know, fast forward to 2018, I hit rock bottom, bro. Like, I don't know how deep you want to get into that, but I got so depressed, man. Like, I don't give a fuck, bro. Like, I was cutting myself, man. And it was tough. It was tough at the time, bro, because I just, you know, I experienced suicidal thoughts. I'd rather not even be here. And my mom, she was like, you know, you look like an animal in a cage that I can't get out. Because my mom's my best friend, bro. My mom is my rock. Like, I post about her all the time because she's got me through some dark, dark times, bro. And I remember one time, bro, I was like sitting at my kitchen table, and all my close friends, they gonna watch this and be like, Chris in that fucking kitchen table, bro. He just sits there and fucking gets on his phone and does what he does at that kitchen table. And I remember I was sitting there, I was like, Mom, you need to come over right now, or I don't know if I'm gonna make it through the night. And I had these cuts on my arms, man. And she was like, what are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing? So she got me out of that. And I remember going to the gym the next day, and one of my really good friends was like, yo, what's that on your arm? Like, what's that on your wrist, bro? You good? I was like, man, this cat, you know, I made some shit up, bro. I was like, this cat, he's like, bro, you don't fuck with cats like that. Like, I know you. So he knew what was up. Then COVID hit. And I was like, man, we're going to have to shut these gyms down. And I was like, you know what? It's time to make a move, man. I'm going to have to shut this gym down, but I don't have to close it. So I go and meet with my accountant. This is like 2019 now. And my accountant was like, look, you need to just make this a club. And that way you can write it off as a nonprofit. He's like, because you're still going to do personal training and your diets and stuff. And I was like, absolutely. So I was just training people, man, like a bunch of people to make ends meet, to pay the rent or whatnot. And me and my friends, we just split the rent so we could have that gym to train at, because I was like, look, the only way we're going to be able to keep this gym is if, like, by 8 people, like 8 of my best friends, we just split the rent. And they were like, dude, I'm down. We don't want to train anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like, this gym has helped them just as much as me. And it took me to this point of selling the gym, of us having conversations, of helping them through what they was going through. And I'm like, damn, I didn't know that gym meant that much to those guys as well. I thought they were like, yeah, man, I don't want to go train at the corporate gyms and like where people are sitting on equipment. They just want to come. But that place was like a sanctuary to a bunch of us, man. So we did that, bro. And then, man, the guy who was owning the gym, he passed away. The woman didn't want to run her business out of the other side of the building. So she was like, Chris, we're going to, sell the building. And I'm just like, man, new landlord. She was kind of whack, bro. And I was like, it's just time now. Let me keep this gym to do my first national level show, because like I said, man, I went through a period of rough time where people were writing me off. Like, I remember, man, Turner Riddle. I don't know, Turner Riddle?
He's been on the
but he was
podcast.
like, yeah, he was like, he's like, man, he's like, you got to stop telling people you're going to do shows, man. He's like, because you have a lot of potential, but every time that you get close, you fucking stop and you don't compete. And hey, I surround myself around people who keep it raw, man. Like, that's the only people I want to fuck with. And he was like, so dude, he's like, you got to stop doing that. He's like, you're going to ruin your reputation. So I was like, nah, man, I'm doing this show, bro. He was like, all right, man, we'll see. And I was like, but he's always been like a positive influence in my corner. So I was like, yeah. I was like, I have to do this show no matter what, bro. Like, no matter fucking what. And then I'll sell the gym and I can move on with my life. So that was this year for this prep. So like, I told my friends, I was like, look, y'all have to ride out with me so we can afford this gym. And then afterwards, man, we just gonna sell it. And that's what we did, man. So that was pretty cool, bro.
For sure. So I want to take a step back. So you competed as a teenager. You hired Dave Palumbo. You had an opportunity to intern with him. So I want you just kind of, not quickly, but just, kind of in a nutshell, what did you learn from Dave in terms of having a high profile coach like that? What did he kind of bring to the table, and what did he teach you? What did he help you to learn in terms of bodybuilding as a coach? And then having the opportunity to be around him and intern with him, what was that experience like, Chris?
So Dave is very straightforward. And I think it's funny, man, because like the universe has a weird way of bringing people into your life that you need at certain points in your life. You know what I mean? So he taught me all of this. Like, in school for exercise science, they teach you about like, oh, when you do a bicep curl, what happens in the sarcomere and the actin-myosin and all the bullshit that if somebody knows my demeanor, it's like, you put fucking weight on the bar and you move it, control it, and you get a workout in. You don't need to, oh, what's the best rep range and shit like that. Like, but that's what we studied, right? Dave dove more into like nutrition. So like, I learned all the science of like what a fat, protein, carb is, like, like the unsaturated, saturated fat, simple carbohydrate, why would you take this carbohydrate at this point in time in the day, et cetera, et cetera. Taught me about supplements, because we kind of just taught while I was up there. So that was more of like how he taught me the knowledge of bodybuilding. And that's what I do full time now, as I coach. So I get to pass on that knowledge to my clients. And man, I'm telling you, man, if you're like 18, 19, not just me, but you need to get that knowledge, man, because it just gives you that sense of security of like knowing what the fuck you're doing. I think a lot of people hire somebody based on their image, like what they look like. And a lot of these people, they take what their coach said and they give it to them, and then those people just become the athlete. Oh, why are you eating that, man? Oh, my coach put it on a piece of paper. Yeah, but why are you eating X, Y, and Z? And they're like, I don't know, because my coach said. I don't think that's the best approach. I think you should have a little bit of knowledge about what you're doing. So I think like the guys who are just getting into bodybuilding, do your research and get with somebody who can kind of teach you along the way of why. If your coach is just, I mean, let's keep it real, man. A lot of these top athletes are genetically blessed and they got that reputation on Instagram, and they take what their coach says and they just kind of, oh, if I'm doing 8 ounces of protein, this kid's like 50 pounds lighter, I'm gonna put them on 6, and then they just shoot the email over. So just that's what I'm grateful for Dave, man, because he's got the education, and he always has a reason of why he does something, and I'm grateful for that. As far as like what he taught me in life, I remember, man, whenever I went to his office, I remember like it was yesterday, and he asked me that question. Like I said, he was like, "What are you gonna do to make money, man? You in New York?" And it hit me because it was the first time of like, man, my parents just said they not gonna help me out no more. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't have any personal training certifications. I've got this degree. And he was like, I'm gonna get you a job, personal training, man. You like being in a gym? I was like, yeah. But the funny thing is, it was so overwhelming because I my dad was supporting me, and I was like waking up, going to the job, going to the gym with no stress, no financial stress. And I broke down because I was like, fuck, I'm not gonna be able to afford to do this. My dad was right. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to make money to do what you want to do. And so that was kind of where I grew up. I was like, yeah, I need to be able to, rock my finances and balance to be able to do what I want to do. And Dave, he actually got me my first personal training job. He called the people up. He's like, look, you're supposed to go through an interview and all this. He's like, go in there, tell them I sent you. You've got the bachelor's in science and exercise science. They're going to hire you. And I'm all nervous and shit because I'm like, damn, now I'm going to have to deal with the public. You know what I'm saying? So I'm grateful for Dave, man. He played a big role in helping me grow up as a person. Yeah.
Excellent, man. So let's talk a little bit more about competing. So you had those teenage competitions, and then did you compete all the way through college?
All right, so I did my first show. I won that teenage local show or whatnot, and that guy was like, I was like, man, what's the next step? I'm not ready for an open division like whatsoever. And this guy was like, man, for teenagers, you need to do the Teen Nationals. Bro, these kids were like fucking, remember in 2010, you had Nick Medici, Cody Lewis. I don't know if these ring a bell. These kids were crazy, like beyond like what kids are nowadays, man. So I showed up backstage and I just won this show, and I'm not delusional, but I'm like, oh, I won, so I must be good. I got up on that stage and got embarrassed, basically. I was like, damn, but I wanted to do this bodybuilding so bad. So I was like, defeat can either crush somebody or make them want it even more. And me, I want to do this, man. I'm not giving up. So I was like, I'm coming back next year and I'm going to fucking do this. I was natural, man, up until I was 22 years old. So at 19, I got second in the light heavyweight division to Josh Kozier at the Teen Nationals. And I was like, damn, I just played second naturally, man. Maybe I'm pretty good at this. But then I knew, I was like, okay, through college, there's no way I can make the grades I'm going to make and compete. Let me just, get through college and build some tissue and just focus on getting bigger. So I said, okay. So from my sophomore year, so I'm taking my sophomore, junior, senior, I'm going to do the collegiate nationals. And it's funny because Cody Montgomery came in, waxes, Zach Merkel, he's a pro now. And like those guys, I consider them like good acquaintances in bodybuilding. Like we don't really have a friendship, but they're really good guys, man. And they were at that show. And Cody, this is when he was going for his three-peat. And I was like, man, if I could just get looked at and stack next to him and see where I'm at, I think that I'll see if I can do the bodybuilding. Bro, we're backstage and I'm like, what the fuck do they eat in Texas, bro? Like, what the fuck? And then you got Zach Merkel back there. And I'm like, the fuck do you weigh, bro? And he was like, I'm like 230. I was like, 230? Like, what? So needless to say, I got beat again. And I was like, man, I don't know, man. This is crazy. Like I want to do this so bad, But man, these kids are just coming out the woodwork, man. So that was, I did the collegiate nationals and I got 4th out of 4. And I was like, damn, I'm just going to come back fucking better, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to come back better. So that was when I moved up after college to Dave, come back down to do the gym. And man, I never had a girlfriend, bro, like through college. So at that point, I'm like, yo, I just got my ass beat. I've not like been with I want to experience what dating is like. Fuck, man. I wish. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So then I opened a gym up and I was like, all right, I got to make sure that this business, that the gym is sustainable, but I want to still do bodybuilding. So I was like, look, I can't be the athlete I want to be and like work 17 hours a day. Let me do this show and see if I can qualify. I've made a little bit of money. And I was like, if I qualify at my next show, this is 2017, I was like, I'm going to just invest that money into myself for bodybuilding. So I went to South Carolina and I got 2nd in the heavyweight. And I don't know, I guess COVID, they made it like top 5 at local shows, which I disagree with, man, because if you can't win a local show, man, there's no business that you need to be at the national level, in my opinion. You got to go in stages with this. So I got 2nd, but I got 2nd doing it, knowing like I didn't get to give my everything to it. So I was like, damn, if I could give everything to it, I think I could do this. So like, I still want to be a bodybuilder. I mean, I'm watching MD and muscular development. This is YouTube now kicking off. I'm watching it every single day. You know what I'm saying? And then 2018, I did the Knoxville Classic and I won it overall. And I was like, damn, this is that, man, you don't know what you're going to look like. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some people who are like, I'm going to win every fucking show that I do. And then you got people like me who are like, I just want to be in the mix, man. Like, am I good enough? Like, I mean, I trained my ass off. I love this. I haven't missed a meal in years, and let's just do it. So I won that overall, and it was like, damn. But then I tried to get back with an ex-girlfriend. And that's where where the depression kicked in and shit like that. And I had to do a show, man. I was going to do the North Americans. Everybody's like, dude, you need to go do the North Americans. And I just won that overall. And I was like, nah, I'm not ready. Like, my hamstrings suck. I was like, I don't have any back thickness. I need to take some time off. So everybody's like, man, you're crazy. You need to do the North Americans. You need to it's literally 4 weeks away. I was like, man, I don't want to diet anymore. I want to get back with my ex-girlfriend and take some time off. Long story short, like, we got back together and broke up within like 3 weeks. And that fucked me up, man. So then I was like, dude, I got to do a show. Like, bodybuilding has been the only stable thing in my life. And like, we're all neurotic, man. Like, we're all fucking crazy, like bodybuilders, what we do, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I got to do a show. So embarrassingly enough, I went to Charlotte, man, and it looked like I was in off season, but I had to smell the tan. I had to be around my people. I had to just be there. I look like dog shit, bro. So I was like, but if I could qualify, I'm all in to do I was going to do the Arnold amateurs, and I got 3rd out of 4th. And I was like, fuck, like, rightfully so, bro. I look like fucking dog shit, bro. Like, love handles hanging over. But I went into that show thinking, oh, there's not going to be any super heavyweights. I'll just get a qualification and I'll take the whole year off. And now I'm set, because if I don't have a goal, I'm a mess, man. I can't do I'm just going to eat a couple meals and live the bodybuilding lifestyle. When I'm done competing, I'll do that. But right now, I have to be like structured, man. So I got 3rd, and I was like, oh shit, like, man, what am I going to do with my life? Fell into depression. And man, so long story short, I actually asked her if I could say this on air, man. No one knows this. Me and my fiance, we're taking a break, man. And, she played a big role in like showing me that like you could bodybuild and live a little bit of life, and it's not the end all be all. So we got engaged, man. Like, that's a whole nother story. So this person became like my savior of like, you don't have to cut yourself at the kitchen table. You don't need to smoke weed all day, every day to go into a different sense of reality. You can, man, just bodybuild and have fun with it. You know what I'm saying? So we got engaged. We're working on it now, you know what I'm saying? But like, no one knows that we literally like we both decided that, hey man, we need to take a break. And this was about 6 weeks before the Nationals. So that kind of messed me up, man. I was like, damn, like I was supposed to be with this person like the rest of my life. And now we're not. And I wanted to quit. But I kept thinking about what Turner said. He was like, dude, if you quit now, you might as well kiss your coaching with bodybuilding, your competing with bodybuilding, because who's going to want to work with somebody who always fucking says they're going to do a show and then, oh, my blood work came back, I can't do it. Oh, I got mental health issues, man, and my mental health is more important. There's always going to be, man, in the way I was raised, man, it's bullshit, bro. We choose if we want to be happy. We choose if we want to wake up and be depressed. Yes, I do agree that there are chemical imbalances and you could be, that's a whole nother story. But for me, I had to call myself out on it. Could you keep going and compete? 100%. Could you sit there and publicly tell some people that they really probably don't give a fuck about that, hey man, I'm battling some mental health issues. So whenever Turner was like, if you drop out, bro, good luck. And rightfully so, bro. So I was like, I need to strap up, man. I need to do this Nationals. And that's what brought me into that prep, man. Yeah.
So tell me then, Chris, because you had to requalify for this year's Nationals, right? So did you do a show earlier this year or did you do a show in 2020?
Yeah. Yeah, I did the Upstate Classic in Spartanburg. And that was so we were prepping, man. We went to Texas, man, me and my fiance, and met some amazing people out there. And they're like, man, you need to do the North Americans. I was like, man, I'm doing the Nationals. And they're like, you're already ready. So we got back from Texas and we're sitting at the kitchen table. Like a week goes by and I was like, man, I think I am ready to compete. You know what I'm saying? And Liz, that's my fiance or my ex-fiance, whatever you want to call it. She's raw, man. She'll tell you what it is too. She was like, you ain't ready. She's like, your glutes are not in and your lower back is soft. And she doesn't have a lot of experience in bodybuilding, but like being around me, man, that's all I fucking talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I have. So like, I'm like, look at this guy. Like, oh man, this podcast said this. So she was like, I don't think you should do that. And I'm like, nah, I think I'm ready, man. So we're sitting there. She's like, well, she's like, you're going to do what you want to do anyway. She's like, it doesn't really matter what I say. And so I was sitting at the kitchen table and I text my dad. I was like, yo, Dad, you want to go to a bodybuilding show in Spartanburg? He was like, I don't know, Chris, that's 5.5 hours away. Like, I wish you would have told me earlier. I would have went with you because my parents are retired now. And I was like, that's fine. I was like, well, I'm going to compete this weekend. And he's like, well, I'm going to be there. You know, my mom's from England, man. So she was actually in England and she's been to every show I've ever done. And I felt bad, man, because I wanted her to come, but I had to do this, man. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, Dad, yeah, I was like, I'm gonna compete. He's like, well, I'll be there. He's like, just send me the information. So me and my dad went down there and I went backstage and they were like, when are you going on, man? I was like, whenever the supers go on. They're like, what? They're like, are you going on before the prejudging or before the prejudging or are you going on after the prejudging? I was like, I'm going on with the Super Heavies, man. What are you talking about? The guy that like reads like, oh, light heavies line up, heavies line up. He's like, bro, I thought you were the fucking guest poser, bro. And I was like, then I'm like, fuck, I'm not in shape. You know what I'm saying? Because like we can all come in big. So when he said that backstage, I was like, and I don't have nobody back there. I don't know anybody. I'm just like, damn, bro. I was like, I'm not in shape. I'm not even gonna get this qualification. If this guy thinks I'm a fucking guest poser, like I'm gonna get waxed, bro. So I go up to this girl, man. She's from Charlotte and she competes. And I was just like, hey, man, I need an honest eye. I was like, I don't care. Like, just be raw. Like, tell me, am I in shape? She's like, you're going to win. And I was like, no, like, this dude just said I'm the guest poser. Like, I'm not in shape. So I'm spazzing backstage. Like, fuck, I wasted my time. I wasted my money. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? You know? And so I won the overall there. And I was like, man, it was a good show, man. It was a good lineup. Like, I met some really good guys back there. But I was like, damn. It just the whole prep now, I thought like I look like a guest poser, bro. So like I went back home and I'm talking like if I'm gonna do the Nationals, man, I'm locked in. I'm talking like my routine was David Goggins in the morning for cardio. I eat my meals at the same time every single day. I watch the same video every single day on cardio. I get home, I watch the same Mike Tyson video every single day while I was eating breakfast or my meal one. I go to sleep, I'd wake up, I'd eat meal two. I was a fucking robot, bro. Like, cause I was like, I'm not gonna go to the nationals and be humiliated, man. Cause it's my first national show. And I knew some of the guys that were going in it, like Nate and like Carlos was hyped up and Matt, those guys that beat me. And I was like, and I didn't know who else was going to show up, man. I was like, man, these dudes are no joke, bro. And we don't know what we're going to look like when we line up. You know, everybody looks fucking good on Instagram. Like, why would you post your worst pictures on Instagram? Me, I'll roll out of bed. I'm like, hey, let's take this picture, man. I got to send it to Dave. I'm like, oh, this shit's look good. I'll post them, bro. Because I was trying to build up my own following. Like, no one, this is my first interview, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have anybody riding with me. It was me, my fucking fiance, my boys back home. Like, God bless them, bro, and my parents, man. And I drove them nuts, bro. Yo, you really think I could do this? Hey, man, you really think I could do this? And then, like, when we got deep into that prep, I mean, I probably, man, not to get too deep into the relationship or whatever, but when me and Liz decided, like, hey, man, we just need to take a break, it fucked with me because then I'm going home to my house and I don't have anybody to bounce, you know, ideas off of or that encouragement or whatnot. And shit, man, honestly, bro, I probably would have left too. You know what I'm saying? I was so fucking locked in. I had, you know, Jay Cutler was like, people would call you with their bullshit and I'd hang up. I talked to no one unless I wanted to talk to him. I was like at the gym, bro. Like my boy Ed, man, I trained with Ed for 4 years, bro. He's the only single person who would come and train with me because, dude, I take my training serious. If I'm telling Ed the night before, hey, bro, if I don't squat 585 for 12, I'm going crazy. And like if we got in there and I'd squat 585 for 11 and I'd have to dump 12, hey, man, this shit means so much to me. I'd be throwing plate. I mean, I own a gym, bro. So it's my place. I'd be like, oh, what the fuck, man? Like just losing myself. And it got to that point, bro, where I was like, man, you need to control this shit. Like no one even wants to be around you like this. You know what I'm saying? So then it was, okay, when we training for the nationals, we're just going to have good sessions. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of like where people see, I think I'm very misunderstood based on some of the stuff I post on Instagram, because when I go train, man, like people make fun of me. They're like, this dude wears Timberlands to the gym and he's hoodied up. So to me, my background is the baseball or sports. So it's like putting my uniform on to go to fucking war. And people are like, man, that's so cheesy. A bodybuilder says, go to war. Like you go work out and pose. But I'm like, man, when I go to the gym, I'm there to compete against nobody but myself, man. Like, and if that progressive overload, kind of like Jordan Peters, he would be thinking about, you know, all week. If he missed a lift, it would eat at him all fucking week. And it would put me in a bad mood until I got to redo that lift. And then I would have hit it and be like, okay, cool, clap, clap. Like next week, we got to do another rep. So I was like very, very fucking driven, man. And then with the mental, like when me and Liz were like, hey, we got to take a break, I kind of just lost that fucking drive. And then it got to the point where it was like, man, I don't even really want to go to the gym, but I'm going to do what I can. But Ed, my training partner, he'd just be like, bro, you just got to show up, bro. And I'm going to load your weights up and you're just going to get under the fucking weight and you're going to do what you can. And then that would piss me off because I'm like, do what you can. That's your attitude. Do what you fucking, and Ed, man, he seen me cuss him out, hug him, cry, fucking give him a hug. And Ed is like the most fucking, if you know my boy Ed, he has no emotion, man. He been through his own hell. You know what I'm saying? And he's just like, all right, Chris, I'm here for you, but let's do this, man. And I'm fucking over here all over the place, but I wouldn't have made it to the stage, bro, without him. I wouldn't have made it to the stage without, like, man, my mom came up to my fucking house. I was 2 weeks out from the show. I said, Mom, I ain't gonna make it, man. Like, I'm not gonna make it to the show. She did cardio with me, bro, for 2 weeks every single morning at 3:30 in the morning. My mom waking up with me doing cardio. Man, come on, bro. And I'm gonna quit? Hell no, bro. And then somebody watching this is gonna be like, dude, this dude a pussy, bro. Like he need all this help to get him to the stage. Hey man, I fucking did it, bro. And I'm proud of that shit. And
Yeah.
like I'll give gratitude to those people, man, that they got me to that stage, bro. You know what I mean?
Amen, dude. So why don't we wrap up our conversation with talking about nationals? You got fourth place in a very, very, very competitive super heavy class. So why don't you tell us about show day? Talk about prejudging. How did you feel after prejudging, and then walk us through finals. And why don't you give us some of your final thoughts and feelings, emotions about nationals, Chris?
All right, man. So I went down to Orlando 2 weeks before the show. So mom popped up to North Carolina and she grabbed me. She said, we got to get you out of this town, because she knows me, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? She knows her son. She knows what I was battling mentally. And so she's like, we're going to go down to Orlando. I don't care what the fuck it costs. Like, you're doing this show. So I was, in my opinion, man, I don't put no blame on nobody, man. You know what I'm saying? And this, I got accused of saying this, so I'm not even going to say it. I was 252 pounds at 2 weeks out. And in my opinion, I definitely could have been tighter, but I like the fuller look that I brought. And I got down to 236 in 10 days. And I was like, and then we tried to fill up, man. And the body just wasn't responding. I think we just depleted a little bit too much. So, but anyway, that's a lesson learned, and I'll take that into next year, because I'm gonna do the 2022 Nationals, and that's not gonna happen again. But so show day, man. Um, I'm kind of at this point, bro. I wanted to just be done with a show. To be real with you, you know what I'm saying? Like, with everything that's happened, I was like, I hope I don't embarrass myself, but I just want to be done with it, because I know whenever I get my mental clarity, I'll be back and doing what I was doing with the David Goggins and the Mike Tyson. So backstage, man, I just kind of say to myself, and I was like, damn, there's 22 dudes. And my first thought was, fuck yeah, man. Finally a show where I'm gonna be in a show where there's call outs, because I've never been in a show where they had call outs. So my goal going into the show was, I want a first call out, but I understand that you have to work your way up at that level. And like, yeah, so that was that. So standing backstage, you see Carlos and Nate's cool as fuck, dude. Like, I know they all in their zone. The work's done, man. So at that point, I'm like, yo, there's Nate Spear, bro. Man, I watch his shit all the time. What's up, bro? Like, how you? He's like, what's up, Chris? Like, I'm like, motherfucker knows my name. That's crazy. And then like Carlos sitting there, and he's like, this motherfucker was sitting up against the wall with his legs crossed, and I was like, that's a big ass dude. And then so they're like, all right, supers line up. And this dude's like in front of me, and like he's talking or whatnot. And I'm not really hearing what he's saying, bro. I'm just kind of like, man, I'm tired. And I just want this shit to be done. And he turns around and he's like, yo, you pretty thick, bro. What'd you weigh in at? And I was like, I weighed in at 243, but I weighed in the scale at 236 before I went to the prejudging. And he was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, what'd you weigh? He's like, I'm 267. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, so now I'm going to go. So like, you know how they call us out in like 6s or 8s or whatever. And this group goes, I was like, so now I'm going to be compared to this dude in front of me who's got me fucking 30 pounds on me. I was like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, I just want to do this shit. So we go out there, and like, I'm just like, just pose your ass off, bro. And at this point, I'm going to be real with you. Goob was helping me out with posing. That's one thing, bro. Going into this next show, I have to pose, man. And that's a staple and a promise to myself. My mom said, my mom's like, I don't care what it costs. You need to pose. You need to hire somebody, and you need to pose, because she's like, you could tell on stage that you were out of breath. So I didn't pose at all, because I just was like, I want to be done with the show. So I go up there, bro, and cool, we line up, and then they call us back out. And so we all end up there, and looking down at my number, they call my number. I'm like, oh shit, let's go. They're going to put me in the first call out after this. Let's go. So I like step up there, man. I'm on the outside. And did you watch the show?
No, I didn't. I just saw some pictures.
Okay. So like, we're out there, man. And like, on this, like Nate, Carlos, me, this big dude that was next to me is pretty tall. And it was like, all right. And you know, Steve, man, when you hear Steve's voice, bro, it's like, let's go, motherfucker. And like, all those feelings of like, man, I just want to be done. Cause like, dude, those feelings didn't come until like the split, you know what I'm saying? And then when they was like, hey, I don't even remember my number, to be honest with you, bro. They called my number and it was like, hey, move. So I'm looking like, and they gonna put me on the outside, and they moved me in the middle next to Carlos. Right then and there, man, my training mentality was like, let's fucking go. Like, I don't give a fuck. Well, you know, when you on stage, bro, you don't feel nothing. You don't remember anything. Like, I don't know how it is for other competitors, but like that fucking tunnel vision clicks in and you just like, let's mess, man. You want to fucking go? Let's go. So they was like, whatever. And they hit back double bicep. And I remember Carlos, man, we was so close, bro. And I ain't mean nothing by it, but like, I was like, damn, I can't open up. So I actually bumped him, man. And Steve was like, hey, knock it off, man. Like, spread out. And I was like, fuck, dude, I don't want people to think I'm an asshole. Like, I ain't mean nothing by that. So I like bumped him. I was like, hey, you good, bro? And he was like, yeah, we good. So like, we just went back to business, man. And so I'm in the first call, and then they moved me. They put Matt in my spot, and then they moved Matt and Nate. And we all know, you know, that we know our spots when we're up there. I was like, fuck. Like, they just moved me out. I was like, I was top 2. I was like, now I'm 3 and 4. I've got, but the cool thing was they put me next to Nate. And I know a lot of guys, like, before the show was like, they met, yo, man, you and Nate got very similar looks. You and Nate look very similar, man. Like, you're a lot thicker from the back, but he comes in sharp, bro. So it's kind of going to be like, what do they want? And so when they moved Nate in, like when they moved Matt on the other side of Carlos and moved Nate in, I was like, let's go. This is what everybody wanted to see, was me and Nate next to each other. And he got me, bro. Like, I'm not going to lie. Nate looked phenomenal, man. And then it was like, all right, man, for the night show. So like, I was like, I know I'm top 4, but hey, you never know. Because I remember seeing there was some dude that worked with Milos, and he was up there, and backstage, this dude was full, bro. And you know, Milos fills his guys up. This dude was full. And I was like, I got to make sure that this dude don't come and get me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm back there, man. We went back to the hotel, and I was like, I just need to eat, bro. I mean, like, I was 236, and I was like, I just need to get back to like 240. And I know, man, at that point, your body not doing shit, bro. So I remember I was like, Dave, man, I need to go get a double quarter pounder, man, because my veins was popping, but then they would go. And so he was like, just eat another one. And I'd eat another one, and like my veins would be popping, and then they would just go. So at that point, but then I had no water. So I was like, man, this is just going to sit in my gut. Like, I have nothing that's like going to get into the muscle. I was like, at this point, it is what it is. You just need to calm the fuck down and relax. And then, man, they didn't put us on stage at like 12:30, 1 o'clock. But the whole time, all right, so we sitting there, my best friend's down there, and we sitting in this little room, and I run into Goob. You know, opposing coach Goob? He's from New York. So he's like, yo, Chris, man, I was like, I need to send pictures to Dave. Can you take these? Because I went and took a piss. My friend was in the room. He was like, yeah, man. So Goob's like a little neurotic dude. He's like, man, he's like, the lighting's not good over here, man. You need to get into the elevator lighting. So we got in this fucking elevator, and he's like holding the button so the door's open, and he hits him. And he's like, dude, your legs look stupid, like stupid cut. And I was like, you think? He's like, bro, he's like, go pose. They're going to rejudge you tonight. He's like, you could probably bump up to that 3rd spot. And I was like, well, fuck it, man. I don't want to be 3rd because, like, you know, top 2 get the pro card. I was like, but that would be cool to be 3rd your first show. So I was like, all right, cool, man. He took the pictures. We're walking back into the night show. It's like midnight, man. And like my other best friend, Will, he's standing there. And I was like, yo, Will, I was like, check this shit out, bro. And I was like, they're about to rejudge us, but like, check my legs out. So he was like, all right. I was like, man, I ain't going to just drop my pants in like the main hall. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, come over here, bro. And I put my legs down, bro. And I swear, like, you could put a thumb in my legs. And he was like, dude, he's like, there's no, like, you're going to bump up. You're going to bump up. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude, they're going to rejudge us. So the whole talk between pre-judge and the night show was they're going to rejudge the heavies and the supers. And they lined the heavies up. They rejudged them. The supers went up there. They cut our time in half to pose, like, to our music. And then they lined us up and did rewards. I was like, so we're not going to get to pose? Like, we're not going to get to compete? Like, let us compete, man. Like, that's what we like to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll like now that we're there, yeah, you want to compete. When I'm training this shit, I'm like, that's a byproduct. Like, we'll be on stage, whatever. But they didn't even line us up, man. So I was like, damn, I hope that like next year we can get on stage a little bit sooner than like 1 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Yeah.
For sure.
But it was fun. Overall experience though, man. It was just crazy that like, damn, Carlos was talked about. Nate Nate had the hype, and I knew Matt was coming back. Like he looked, man, that dude was shredded, bro. Matt was in crazy shape. And I'll admit it, man, I was probably the softest out of the top five, to be honest. So I need to work on that. But like, I had no idea how I would line up, and like something obviously caught their eye of like, hey man, let's give this dude a shot in the top 4. And I'm grateful for that opportunity, man.
Absolutely, dude. And I don't know if you heard this, but Dusty Hanshaw on his podcast with Ron Partlow, It's Just Bodybuilding. He gave you a huge compliment and a huge shout out. Did you hear that?
Yeah, man. Dusty actually messaged me, man. I'm going out there on Monday. So that was great. Like, you hit me up, and then Dusty was like, bro, if you want to come on, It's Just Bodybuilding, bro, you're more than welcome. And I was like, dude, I watched Dusty. I remember when Dusty was in my shoes, and then he turned pro. Like I said, man, before a competitor, I'm the biggest bodybuilder fan. And like, I remember like when Juan Morel, Akeem Williams, Max Char, I remember when they all were turning pro. And I was like, man, this is going to be the next generation. And then you got like Ian and Luke and Dallas and all them. And I'm like, damn, man, one day, man, it would be sick to like just get the opportunity. Because remember back in like MD, they would cover the amateurs more of like, oh, the road to the USAs. And they would do the cooking videos and shit. And I'm like, there's none of that for the amateur guys now, besides like you guys. Like, you guys give us the spotlight. So when Dusty reached out, man, I was like, dude, this is crazy to me. Like, not that I'm like starstruck, because like, hey man, he's a grown man doing his thing, but it was just cool to be like, damn, so you mean to tell me after all the bullshit that I've been through with the gym, with the fucking bullshit relationships that we all learn from, we all go through that, with all that shit, I still stay disciplined enough that, hey man, these dudes are seeing hard work. And it's like, that's pretty cool to me, man. You know?
Absolutely, dude. It's a testament of, and that's why I'm so I compete myself, not in the NPC or anything, but I'm just a huge bodybuilding junkie, I like to call myself, right? And been following it for years and years. And I'm just so thankful, grateful, and excited to have this opportunity to have this podcast and bring you athletes on, because that's what this podcast, Chris, is all about. It's going behind the muscle. We see Instagram, we see the stage shots, we see the muscle, we see kind of the glitz and the glamour and the glory, but you have a story. I have a story. All of these athletes, every human being has a story. And there's so much power when you athletes, when you bodybuilders share your story, because there's so much discipline. There's so much, just resolve and hard work and blood, sweat, and tears, literally and figuratively, that goes into this thing that we love called bodybuilding, right? And when you begin to increase in those levels, you start working your way through the NPC and eventually, God willing, make it to the IFBB. Like, there's just so many levels, and there's so many depths to this bodybuilding experience, this bodybuilding life. And I get to provide this platform for you guys to come on and share your story, and we get to learn, we get to glean. It's beautiful, man. Like, think about all the stuff like you're talking about, Chris, all this stuff that you've been through, man. And yet you stuck to it some way, somehow. And as you continue to put in that work, which I know you're going to continue to reap the benefits and the rewards, right? So it's exciting for me, man, to be able to have these conversations with you athletes, because we all have a story. We get to go behind the muscle. And those of us who just get to see you guys on Instagram and don't know you personally, like, we get to say, you know what, like, okay, Chris is just a real guy with real issues, with real struggles, with real feelings and emotions, just like me. And that's where that power of storytelling comes, right? And people can really be impacted through your guys' story. So I don't want to go any longer on that, but the last thing, Chris, I want you to talk about is, because it's something that's pretty prevalent on your Instagram, is progress at all costs. What does that mean to you? What is that in the bigger picture? Why don't you explain that, break that down, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yes, I got the hoodie on, man, the progress at all costs. So we highlighted the pro and costs, and that's something that I've been thinking about a lot, man. It's not just bodybuilding and becoming a pro. it's in anything that you do in life, man. Like if you want to be a pro or respected in what you do, you have to be willing to go all in, man. So like, and it's all about progression. Like it could be in your business, it could be in bodybuilding, which we obviously related to. It could be in finances, it could be in a relationship. If you want progression, which I think everybody would want that, it's gonna take everything that you have inside of you, like you just said, like through all the obstacles and challenges. If you want that progression, progress at all costs, man. Whatever the fuck it's gonna take, you have to be willing to do whatever the fuck it takes to progress, man. And that's kind of like the motto that I've seen, or what I've stand for, is like, I'm willing to do it. You're doing it with your podcast. And the woman down the street, if she wants to open up a knitting store, if you have that desire in your heart and you really want to do something, you got to be in, man. And that's kind of just like what sums it up, is like, if you want to progress at all costs, whatever the fuck it's going to take, you got to be willing to go all in, man.
Excellent, dude.
Yeah.
So the next time that we're going to see you on stage, Chris, is that going to be the 2022 Nationals, or are you going to compete before then? What's the plan?
2022 Nationals, 100%. I might do a tune-up show, but it'd probably just be the Nationals, man, to be honest with you. That way, because when we did that show at the Upstate Classic and it had to hold, I'd rather just put all my eggs in one basket, man, and just be all in on it. And you're going to see me, man, 2022 Nationals, bro.
Love it, dude. So Chris, I just want to thank you, man, for coming on the podcast. Before I close this out, please share with myself and the listeners your Instagram, any shout outs, any personal sponsor shout outs, anything like that. Share that. And then if you have any final thoughts, any final words that you want to leave all of us, the floor is yours. And then once you wrap up, I'll close us out. Okay.
All right, man. So my Instagram is my name. It's Chris Fine 91. Shout out to the people that's been in my corner. Number one, first and foremost, my parents, my mom, my dad. Like I said, without them, this wouldn't be possible, man. They backed me 100%. My training partner that I'm not going to get to train with anymore because we don't have the gym, Ed. Some of my closest friends, man, that I consider brothers, bro. I have to mention them because I've been texting them, man, I need you right now. Can you come over? And they would be there. Like, that's real brothers, man. Ed, Will, Jamie, my boy Brant. Like, them boys, like, that's brothers to me, man. Like, and I'm grateful, man, because it took to this point in my life, this prep, to be like, these people actually care about you. You know, words are words, man. Like, a lot of people say a lot of shit. And then when it comes out, like, yo, man, come train for a week, or, you know, come do this. And then when you're like, all right, bro, I need you. Like, bro, if you would have hit me up last week, nah, man, them boys right there, man, like anything that I needed, they right there. So like, they don't understand how much of a part that they played in Chris Fine, the bodybuilder. But this prep has allowed me to be like, it's more than that. That's Chris Fine in personal life. Like, those are my brothers. Like, I would die, I would ride for them, bro. And they would ride for me. And they show me that. So I appreciate them. As far as sponsorships, man, just been me, bro. And we just gonna keep grinding. We just gonna keep working, man. Yup, that's about it, bro.
I love that, Chris. And I just want to thank you for coming on the podcast, man, being very open, real, transparent, and sharing your story. It's appreciated. Okay.
All right, bro. I appreciate you, Q, man. Thanks for having me on, bro.
You're very welcome. All of you who are tuning in to another episode of Behind the Muscle podcast, I just want to say thank you to you. If it wasn't for you, the podcast wouldn't exist. Just a couple things. I just want to ask all of you before we close out this conversation with Chris, if you haven't done so already, make sure you please go to the YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. That's really important because I release all of these episodes first on YouTube, and then I'll distribute them to the other podcast platforms. And then one final favor I would ask of all of you is that you would please take this episode with Chris, share it on your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag Chris and tag Behind the Muscle so that we know you listened to this episode specifically and found great value in it. And finally, I will leave you all with this. Remember, behind the muscle there's always a story. We'll catch you guys later.